Hello, audience. Hello, Charlie. This is my friend Charlie Vignola. I'm Lucas Kendall, and we are here for a special segment of our Screenplay Power Hour because I have an exciting announcement to make, which is that I am starting FSM Studios. FSM is Film Score Monthly, which is the company I founded as a kid, which did Film Score Monthly, a magazine and CD label over many years, and I have an audience from that. And I am going to start a company to raise money myself to make movies and TV shows. Some things I write, some things whatever it is that people do when they have a film company. But it's not magic to make a movie. All you need is money. And I do need money, so I'm going to start on a real company. And Charlie knows nothing of this. He started to ask me, and I said, just ask it on the air and we'll just do it for real. So this is like the first ever announcement and discussion.
This is your big announcement.
It is.
I'm very excited.
I am using a platform called WeFunder.com. And you asked me, like, how's this different from Kickstarter? Kickstarter and Indiegogo and Seed and Spark, those are donations.
Okay.
And I did that very successfully. I raised $31,000 on Indiegogo when I was doing my Skyfighter short film. Mm-hmm. And that was more work than the short film. That is, I mean, you're running a company, it's a startup company, and then you're sending out books and CDs and all the swag to the people that you promised. I mean, I'm glad I did it, but I don't want to do it again. It is so hard. And so this is different. This is a real company. This used to be against the law to publicly fundraise for a company, but there was a new law that's within the last 10 years that WeFunder.com is set up to use. And it's SEC approved and regulated. And there's actually a lot of business and legal hoops that I'm going to have to jump through, starting with one right now. I need to read a disclaimer because I have to file all this stuff with the government. So this is the legal disclaimer. Mm-hmm. We are testing the waters to gauge investor interest in an offering under regulation crowdfunding. No money or other consideration is being solicited. If sent, it will not be accepted. No offer to buy securities will be accepted. No part of the purchase price will be received until Form C is filed and only through WeFunder's platform. Any indication of interest involves no obligation or commitment of any kind.
Okay.
It just means that right now I have a page at WeFunder that I'll put in the YouTube link below, where you can go and you can see my pitch, and you can sign up to say I'm interested in contributing this amount of money. It can be as low as $100. And but at this time, it's not an actual contribution. This is a sort of a reservation. And then what happens is if I can demonstrate to WeFunder that I can get $25,000 in reservations, then WeFunder will go, okay, this is a legit thing, because they get a cut. That's what they do. And then they will step up and they will help me with the business and legal incorporation and doing all the bells and whistles for the SEC. And they'll kick it out on their platform and they'll say, like, new, trending, or whatever. And if I can convince my community in the world that I'm a real movie producer, then I can have the rest of my life the way I want it. And if
so let me ask you a few questions, because I'm actually very curious about this. So the difference between Indiegogo and Kickstarter and what you're doing is these are not people who are contributing $20 because they want to see the movie get made so they can see the movie. This is people who are actually going to invest in these projects.
Yes, the famous example, there is a company called Legion Air, which you may have heard of. They advertise themselves as the fan-owned movie company. Yeah. And they do a lot of fan-related projects. I won't go into their resume because I don't quite know, but they've contributed financially to various films and documentaries, and they've been very successful at it. And they have a website, and they do, it's like a real company where they have shareholder reports and investor reports and board meetings, and it's serious business. And I personally am not set up right now, I'll have to learn that. I'll have to get a law firm, and I'll have to get contributors behind me. And I fully plan on doing that. For me, I think I can do this because there are a lot of people who know me for 30 years, and they know that I deliver stuff that has entertainment value that they want. Now, it happens to be mostly Jerry Goldsmith CDs, but there was still the principle of me saying, subscribe to my magazine and buy this record because I'll do this next record. And I was very successful in doing one after another. And and announcing things and following through with the announcements. Or if I couldn't follow through, I'd explain it. If something was delayed, I'd explain why. And now I was always very accountable, and I enjoyed that part of it. I enjoyed having a relationship. I had very few customer complaints.
So when it comes to picking the projects that are going to represent your FSM brand, are these going to be projects that you independently choose based on things you wrote or things you solicit from people, or are investors going to have a hand in deciding what actually gets produced, or both? I don't know.
It'll have to be some version of both. I think the way the platform works is that there is a lead investor who sort of all the other investors account to, and then I account to him or her. And but it's my intention to pursue 3 film projects, because a lot of people use this for 1 film project, and as much as everybody else that any one movie getting it made is like a monster. I mean, you just know, you could spend years trying to get cast, and it may never happen. So I have 3 things I want to do, and I think they all make sense business-wise. I want to do this feature film version of Skyfighter, which is a short that people can watch. So they can watch my filmmaking, they can watch my storytelling, and they can go, oh, he's not a phony. Like, okay, I'm not saying it's the greatest movie. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's interesting.
You have a proof of concept.
I have a proof of concept for me as a director, proof of me as a writer director, that I know how to hold an audience, tell a story, and make something successful. And it was successful. I mean, it got 2 million views, which is really hard for a short film.
So is this a film then you would direct?
Yes, I would direct the Skyfighter feature film. The second film I have it's a horror project called The Demonologist, which is a twist on The Exorcist, where the demon is actually inside the exorcist, because you can't trust authority. That comes from me watching all these Exorcist movies, and I just don't like that genre of belief in these authority figures who in real life are all phonies. I mean, there are no demons in real life. They're all frauds. And I can't stand that. So I wrote a story where it's a story of a woman who married into a family with a lot of money, and she wants to have a better life for her son. And the son gets in trouble, and the family calls in their demonologist to help the kid, because the kid's in a jam. And what you eventually begin to suspect is that this particular demonologist doesn't take demons out, he puts them in. So it's a social horror. It's like The Exorcist upside down. It's like Get Out. So that's a movie I've written that I would love to direct. I think I'm capable of directing it, but obviously if I'm going to make 2 movies at the same time, I wouldn't try and direct everything. They always say, if you're a first-time screenwriter, do you really want to have a first-time director, meaning yourself? And that's a very good argument.
Okay, cool.
So that's and that movie is fine-tuned to be profitable, because that is a low-cost horror movie without a lot of gore and effects, and it takes place 80% of it's in one house, and it's got super castable roles, because the roles have real emotions. It's not just teenagers getting killed. I mean, it's about real human feelings and adult feelings of wanting a better life for your kid.
So an elevated horror thriller. Okay, yes. So you got a sci-fi movie, a horror movie, and what's the third?
The third is a film called Vineyard Haven that is that's an emotionally autobiographical story on Martha's Vineyard, where I would want to direct that too, because it's very personal to me. And I think that one makes a lot of sense, because it's a beautiful place. It's a resort, it's a destination project. So we can say to actors, hey, come spend 3 weeks having a working vacation on one of the most beautiful places in the world. And we'll get amazing production value, because I grew up there. I know all the secret private places with beautiful backdrops, and I know the culture of the vineyard. I know the class structure. I'm the son of a doctor on Martha's Vineyard, and I went through my life realizing that other kids, their parents didn't have the privileges that a doctor would have. So there's a lot. Martha's Vineyard's a very interesting place. People think of it as a snooty resort town, and in ways it is. It's becoming very hard for regular people to live there. When I grew up in the 80s, in the winter, it's just another frozen New England town.
Right.
The hoppies are.
Well, it's definitely a legendary, and when you hear Martha's Vineyard, it evokes, so much. And so for you to have grown up in this place that is like sort of legendary is
Yeah, I
very,
mean, I grew up swimming in Carly Simon's pool. That was,
that's
hey,
very
let's
cool.
go use Carly's pool.
Oh, that's so cool.
We'd see her and go, thanks, Carly. I
Right.
knew her. I went to school with her kids, and so it's in many ways like an LA life where these kids grow up going to school with Tom Hanks kids or whatever. And Tom Hanks would go into my mom's toy store in Martha's Vineyard, my stepmom's toy store.
Crazy.
So, and we had we have deep island roots. If my dad treated John Belushi, who would come in saying he had swimmer's ear and then ask for an inappropriate amount of narcotics. And then when he died, we had his records because they got to talking about blues and soul music, which my dad likes. And so he was exchanging records with Belushi. And we went down.
I thought you meant he had his medical records. I was about to say.
No, I don't want to. No, my dad's retired. No, we had his vinyl records.
Exactly.
We had his vinyl records. So
not his medical records. You wouldn't be able to lift those.
Anyway, the point is that I have, and that movie is going to be challenging to make because I really need to shoot it either in May, June, or September, early October, because we need warm weather. We need the leaves on the trees because we need people outside, but I can't do it in July and August because everything's booked. I mean, it's a zoo. So that is a very calendar specific movie, and that's not genre, but I think that the roles are vibrant enough. And again, actors like to be interesting. They like to express emotion. They like to play characters who are smart, who have some things to say, who have a certain amount of torment, who have relationships. So
it sounds like it's Your American Graffiti, something like that.
Yeah, it is because I use that as a model because you have these two characters in Martha's Vineyard, and one's determined to stay and one's determined to leave. And by the end of the movie, they switch places.
That sounds great.
And that works because you have momentum and you have clear emotional change why they make these choices they do. So I have these three movies, and I was at a point where 3 years ago, I made this short film, spent a lot of money on it, a lot of time. I mean, that was a very humbling thing. I spent 1.5 years to make 15 minutes.
Wow.
Like, whoa. But because there was very methodical, meticulous special effects work.
Right.
That even though we were doing it on a budget with a very fine effects house in Germany, who I never even spoke to, it was all over email. Wow. It was very meticulous because you got these little holograms and you say, no, okay, I would print it out and take markers, and this hologram needs to be a little closer.
I'm sure it was a massive learning curve.
Yeah, sure. But I had a manager, and for a while I had a producer to make the feature movie of my project. And the script was not good enough. I learned the hard way, but it's actually a blessing because if I had made that script, I would not be a successful filmmaker.
Wow.
It would not have performed well because the script was not there. It was too confusing. It was exactly what we were talking about in our last show. It didn't have clarity. It didn't have the emotional depth that it needs. So I was in a situation where I was represented on the strength of a TV project that I've talked to you about that I co-wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And I really had the apparatus that you want to have a career. I had a manager, I had a producer, and I didn't deliver a script that was good enough to get talent to sign on. And at that point, COVID hit, and we all kind of were sick of each other and kind of went our separate ways. And I just spent the last 2.5 years. I wish I was in more contact with you at that time because I had a portfolio of scripts, and I just said, this stuff's not working. It's I'm submitting it to these dopey contests, and it's getting to be the semifinalist of whatever, but it's not winning. And managers are, I was hustling reads from lit managers, and they would politely pass. And it really was a rude awakening that as good as you sort of know things need to be to advance in the business, they have to be even better. Unless you're super connected to a movie star or have incredibly good luck. But even then, to really get to, you can sort of phony your way into getting an option somewhere, but to get something really produced, I mean, it's got to be good. It's got to get the talent to want to say, I want to do this one, because this is the other epiphany I have. This is why I'm starting my own company, is because even if you get people to option your scripts or you get producers behind you, the bottleneck is not with getting producers. The bottleneck is with the talent.
Yes.
You have a limited pool of talent who move the needle for financing, who are at the point in their careers where they're like, okay, I just got famous making this international Dune movie or Star Wars movie or whatever.
I'm Liam Neeson. I can suddenly get movies made.
I suddenly can get movies
name.
made.
Yeah.
And what do I want to do? And so what they want to do is they want to work for Scorsese. They want to work for Spielberg. They want to work for Paul Thomas Anderson. They don't want to work for me, who's made one short film. So you're always chasing, it's high school. You're chasing the one that you're turning down the person who wants you because you think you get someone hotter who doesn't want you. And it's like, what is this? So, everybody has to compromise and everybody has to find the right matches, but it really comes down to the talent saying, I've got a window, I have an incoming call business where people are making me offers. The agents only want you if they're turning away people.
Yeah, I mean, agents want somebody who's already getting offers. They don't want to be the person
so these people are getting, you can offer $400,000 to this person to work 3 weeks, but if he's getting 3 of those offers a month or a week, then forget it. It doesn't matter. He's going to read it and go, I don't want to be in a spacesuit. I don't, for whatever reason. And every time you do that, it takes 2 months because the agents are just, nobody wants to say no because they don't know. I mean, the ghosting in this business is out of control. That's what I'll say. It just happened to me this past week where I had some people, I accept being ghosted and turned down by people I don't know, by strangers. But in this past week, I won't be specific, but there were some people who I've known for like 20 years, 25 years, who were going to, I thought, okay, this person will at least do this one limited thing of pushing me here or there or taking a meeting. And just stuff got blown off or pushed, and sometimes for legitimate reasons, but it just kind of happened all at the same time. And it's just like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I giving power to other people?
Right.
I actually had a TV show at super high-end auspices, and it just died there because some business thing happened where they were going to have to package this show themselves as opposed to depend upon an agency to package it. Nobody wants to do any work. Everything is about the package.
Yes.
It's all about it. So I'm going to just make my own packages and I will learn as I do it.
Well, but you're still going to have to find talent. You're still going to have to do all those things. Your material is going to have to go out there and you're going to have to get reads from whoever. Pauly Shore is available. You want Pauly Shore in your movie? Maybe not, but there's a hierarchy of talent, right?
Look,
Chalamet.
It's a ton of work and nothing is guaranteed. And the hardest thing for me in using WeFunder is that WeFunder, even though there are a lot of film projects and some have been successful on that platform, it's not the kind of investment that investors are comfortable with. What they want is, we have a cool new kind of blender, and this is what it costs per unit to make the blender, and this is what we'll sell it per unit, and this is our projected sales, and it's arithmetic. And I cannot.
Movies are much more blue sky than that, unless it's somebody who's already made a lot of movies, right? If it's somebody who, like, you would have no problem as an investor investing in a movie from a guy who's at least made one thing you've heard about. You'd be like, okay, that person made this one thing. Here's reviews that I can read. He's talented. If you have never made a movie before, then obviously you have to find some other way to convince people you know what the hell you're doing. You've run another business. You have connections. You have a great script, and you have people respect you in your business, but you've got to find some way to do it if you haven't actually done it before. Everybody has to make their first movie.
I have all 4 of those things. I do.
You've made a movie. You've actually made.
I haven't made a movie, and I've made a short film, and I've made all those record albums and all those magazines and a website. I've been involved with book publishing. You've produced things. I have produced things since I was 16 years old, and I have an audience of people. Hi, folks. I can't say that they all would have me over for dinner, but they know me and they know that I keep my word and I make good stuff at a fair price and I'm accountable and I listen to the audience and I make the stuff the way the audience wants to experience.
You work hard and you care and you're creative. Yes.
Yeah. And so for investors, and one of the reasons I wanted to do this announcement thing with you for a half hour is just so they could see me talk. And I don't know how I come off. I watch these before I post them, and I'm like, wow, that guy's smart. But you never really know. But you do want somebody who seems rational and quick, quick on his feet, and who seems to have some still have some sort of connection to humanity and a sense of humor, especially about themselves. So all of which I naturally and I'm quite happy to have. I mean,
well,
anyway.
you also handle money well, right? I mean, that's
yes. I have 12 other
thing.
points to make about how great I am.
Yeah. So
no, I'm used to handling money, and that's another thing. The reason I'm not, this is my office. This is just a room in our house, and I'm not putting the money that I'm raising. Like, what do I want it for? I want it because there are some business expenses that I'm not liquid enough to cover to self-produce my movies. Sometimes you just need to spend a few $1,000s on legal fees. You need to spend a few $1,000s on getting a line producer. If you say, okay, this is the script, really, I need to know, can we make this for 1.5 or would it be better at 2? I need the line producer to go, look, these are the options. That's the other thing about making movies. There's no one budget.
Right.
There's the micro budget version, the low budget version, then the movie star version. And it can be all over the place because you can do it the cheap way, the medium cheap way. And it's all about the judgment of the filmmakers about where are we going to spend our money. There are always compromises everybody makes compromises, even when they're making Top Gun Maverick. I know they must have had compromises, and that's maybe not in that case. But
I have a friend like yourself who's a writer director and trying to get his passion project off the ground as well. And like you, he spent a fair amount of money making sort of a short film version of the movie, sort of a directing sample. Came out great. He's actually won a couple of foreign film festivals with it, and now he's in the process of trying to figure out how to move it along and how to do like what you're doing, raise the money to make the feature film version. And he's trying to figure out, like you're talking about, the different levels of movie. A lot of it depends on the money you have to make the movie or the acting talent you have, which is going to determine to some degree the budget you have to make the movie with. But I've always asked them, like, what's the lowest budget version of it you could reasonably make? Because like at the end of the day, you want to make the movie so badly. Right. It's like, you're going to price it out of your range of ever making it, or are you going to like say, well, there is.
I have an answer about this for my prospective, investors, audience, whatever that disclaimer was, which is that you want a sweet spot of having names who are big enough that what you're then doing is you're not making the movie with the hard money. The investors, the 14 dentists who want to be producers, that's the hard money. And then if you can use your credentials as a producer and make real offers to talent, then you get name cast. And what you do is you make a package and you have a foreign sales agent, if it's a genre picture, sell it at Cannes or AFM or any of these places. And then there's all these complicated financial structures you use where you get a bank loan against the value of your cast commitments and the tax credits from the location you're filming in. So you're actually using, half to 2/3 of the budget can be this soft money based on the machinations of how you produce movies. And that's something that I'm beginning to get acquainted with. And there are hundreds of people who know how to do it.
It's very Byzantine, but a lot of people do it.
Well, what's happening is that I'm getting, just in the last few weeks, I'm getting a lot of come back when, the financiers say, come back when you have talent. The agents will say, come back when you have money. It's like, whoa, I can't, how, duh. So I'm just like, to hell with it. I'll get my own money and I'll just barrel through this because that's sort of what they're trying to do. The whole process self-sorts for go-getters and people who are just going to be entrepreneurial enough to create their own solutions, which is something that I'm very happy and comfortable doing.
Yeah, you are a go-getter and you are and you have done it in the past. I mean, there are many proofs of concept. So
yeah, so and this, I do want to clarify that these are all projects I'm passionate about, but I don't consider anything a passion project because that to me implies that you'll lose all your money. I mean, these are the
Heaven's Gate.
No, passion, this is passion projects. I'm doing this out of passion. I don't care what happens. And I think the one of the reasons why I've always had a thought about maybe I could do this, but I've held off and held off and held off because it's very scary to me not just the idea of you actually make a movie and put it out in the world and what if it fails, but it's very scary to me to accept people's investment and then risk losing it. I would,
they're placing their bets on you.
Especially when I'm starting with friends and family and folks who've known me for 30 years. And if I lost their money, like it would be so humiliating and so depressing that it's like I'm this bullheaded, maybe monster is not the word I want to use, to make sure whatever happens, I don't lose their money. I got to make their money back. And so the things that I've written, I have been ruthless to myself, and you're going to read them, I hope, and you'll tell me, when we're done, you got to fix that or just pull the plug. I mean, these are scripts are going to be bulletproof, and we're not going to go ahead unless we have actors who are worth it, so that we hedge our bets and we get name talent. I'm not making a movie on my phone, and you lose 50 grand making a movie on your phone. There's less risk making the movie for 1.5 million when you have movie stars.
Yeah, that's true.
I have to go, and that's the last point I want to make to my prospective audience. It so happens that my kids are having a pizza party at school. They're finishing second grade. They're twins. And
congratulations.
Yes, and we're all very emotional about the terrible news from Texas this week, and I want to go see them and hug them. And I volunteered to be one of the parent volunteers at the pizza party. So it is
one of the pizza parents. Okay.
I'm a pizza parent. So it's a priority of mine that the kids come first. And I could talk for another hour about how shrewd I'm going to be to make these movies and safeguard people's investments. But
well, that's a very cool and interesting announcement, Lucas. And
thanks,
I can't wait to hear more. And I'm going to be reading your script, so we'll be talking about that soon too.
Okay.
So that's awesome. All right.
All right. So audience, I will be posting a lot more at my blog, and believing this is a lot of work, because everything I post, and in fact, every email communication I make about this topic with the WeFunder, I'm going to have to submit to the government as backup that I'm not a swindler. And it's going to be a lot to keep track of. It's a lot of bureaucracy, but this is so that we have a rule, we have rule of law, and we don't have scumbags rip people off. So I'm happy to do it.
All right. All right. Well, good luck. And
all right.
Yeah.
Everybody have a great holiday weekend, and thanks so much.
Take care.
Thank you, Charles.
All right. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.